Hello people, this is I Know No Mercy, and this here is my very first video game review. First of all, let me tell you how I work. I'll be judging these games by three factors: story, gameplay, four factors, story, gameplay, presentation, and staying power. Now, I'll be doing these pretty infrequently. You have to actually play through them. Some of them are going to be longer than others, but I'll try and keep them regular. When I can play a new game or a new game taking particularly long, then I'll review an old game that I've played. Alright, so without further ado, let the review begin. Warning: the following review contains material that can be viewed as offensive, such as graphic violence and foul language. So, anyone who wants to be a pussy about it can turn back now. I've got you down. Dead end job getting to you. Nagging girlfriend whining in your ear day and night. Well then, I have just a game for you. Madworld. The action beat-em-up sandbox game developed by Platinum Games and published by Sega for the Wii. Because if beating the hell out of bad guys isn't enough, how about doing shit like this?
The organic squirrel gets a bike helmet? I'm not reading these communist books to you guys. Don't you get any real stories?
Like what?
Like what? Like cowboys or dragons or aliens or what the heck is on my head right now?
Madworld's story is surprisingly good, considering the type of game it is. Most beat-em-ups don't have the best stories, especially ones that smash happy as Madworld. The game starts out with a deadly virus being exposed to the populace of Verrigan City. And what do the people of Verrigan have to do in order to survive? Why, participate in a televised gladiatorial contest known as Deathwatch, that's all. Nothing like good old-fashioned family-friendly entertainment like throwing a guy in front of a train, is there?
To participate in this game, you need only pick up a weapon, a pipe, a bat, knife, anything will do. Then you need to kill someone. Family members and neighbors are a convenient place to begin.
Enter Jack Kamen, a former Marine turned bounty hunter with a prosthetic arm with a chainsaw built in it. That is awesome. He enters the Deathwatch games not only for the idea of killing for money, but his reasons involve espionage, a vendetta against Deathwatch Control itself, and a healthy dose of government conspiracy. Working with the police organization known as Chasers, Jack enters Deathwatch to find the daughter of Verrigan City's mayor and ultimately shut Deathwatch down, with the help of his Chasers contact Amala. He ain't Shakespeare, but as far as video game stories go, I've heard worse. Much worse.
So this is what I have to look forward to as a black man, huh? Just sitting around playing PlayStation all day, waiting for the next Madden to come out. Maybe I should go out and put rims and all kinds of goofy shit on my truck.
In each self-contained level, Jack must kill every poor bastard he comes across in the most brutal way possible in order to earn points, to get weapons, and eventually earn the right to fight one of the high-ranking Death Seekers, each of the game's bosses. Madworld is an extremely over-the-top and very, very violent game. Jack can either beat enemies into submission with the A button and then finish them with many of his gory finishing moves like snapping an enemy's spine, decapitating them, or tearing out his heart and crushing it in his hand. All the finishes require the player to perform some sort of action with the Wiimote that is easily to understand, but instead the play sections can leave your arms dead By pressing the B button, swinging the remote vertically or horizontally, Jack can simply slice enemies in half using his chainsaw. It is the easiest way to dispatch enemies, but doesn't reward as many points, making getting to the boss in the end a lot more time consuming. Jack can also use the environment to take his enemies out. By using multiple environmental attacks on a single enemy, Jack can rack up more points quickly. Each of the game's bosses are Deathwatch's top Death Seekers, and after Jack kills one, he takes their place in the rankings. The bosses Jack fight all have unusual or outlandish weapons and abilities, like Little Eddie, a giant, slow, dumb guy with a huge ball and chain that's easily 20 feet tall. Considering Little Eddie is the easiest boss in the game, the boss fights are obviously one of Madworld's biggest draws. Before fighting a level's boss, earning enough points will activate that level's Bloodbath Challenge, a gory minigame in which Jack must use a series of props and often level-specific weapons to kill enemies in a specific way in a allotted amount of time. Completing a Bloodbath Challenge to a satisfactory level is one of the easiest ways to earn points in order to fight the boss. When you're getting a little tired of beating the living crap out of fools, you can change. Madworld manages to change things up a little bit by adding in a few motorcycle riding levels. Using the Wiimote and the nunchuck, Jack can either slice enemies with his chainsaw or grab enemies off of their respective vehicles and toss them right in front of him for him to run them the fuck over. Or he can just bash into the back of each enemy's vehicle and blow them the fuck up. These levels are awesome, to be honest, but really short and only take up about 2 levels. The controls for the game are very well done, kept simple and easy to get the hang of. Attacks and movement are divided between the Wiimote and nunchuck. You move Jack around with the control stick, jump with the Z button, and perform an evasive backflip with the flick of a nunchuck. While Jack controls well, the camera is another story completely. And by that I mean you barely control the camera at all. You can only center the camera behind Jack by pressing the C button. This camera control scheme is not only frustrating, but will almost certainly ensure that you get bum rushed by some loser you couldn't get a beat of because you couldn't keep track of the son of a bitch. You can lock onto enemies, but you have to hold the C button for a second for it to work. This is a terrible control choice that is really just annoying when you get down to it.
Yeah, I know it's sexy, Woodhouse. That's why I bought 10. Now arrange those by color.
These are all black.
Oh, are they? Or are 5 in a dark black and 5 in a slightly darker black? And now I'm short a slightly darker black one.
Okay, so it's the Wii. Not exactly a graphical powerhouse, but Madworld's stylized comic book-y style and a Sin City-inspired black and white aesthetic with lots and lots of red being the only color to break up the monochromatic palette, you'll hardly notice this system's limitations. The animation is fluid, graceful, and the cutscenes using actual comic book-like transitions and panels is very well done. The Madworld also has a score composed mostly of, actually almost entirely, of original hip-hop songs as background music for each level and boss fight. The lyrics are usually as violent as the game itself and are a good accompaniment to the short murder sessions that the game offers. Of course, if you're not into hip-hop, this might turn you off a little bit. Also, all the artists featured seem to be underground, so they don't bring any real star power to the soundtrack, which usually counts for something. But since we're talking about audio, we have to talk about the announcers. Deathwatch features 2 comedians as their announcers, Greg Proops and John DiMartino, in the roles of Howard Buckshot Holmes and Chris Crilly, respectively. The commentaries on the events of Deathwatch are easily the high points of the game. They are incredibly funny. You will laugh your ass off while slicing someone in half, and you can actually make an excuse of it.
Rest in pieces, loser. Looks like the drill man is ready to enter the competition, and his drill is ready to enter Jack's ass.
Proops and DiMartino make rude, vulgar, and off-color remarks about every aspect of Deathwatch that the player encounters, even commenting on the fact that Jack seems to be the only one able to see the game's power-ups. Along with these two very funny men, Deathwatch also has another announcer, the Black Baron. A horrible, stereotypical, although insanely funny black pimp appears to announce and describe a level's bloodbath challenge, who is usually impaled, eviscerated, or in some other way killed by his, I don't know, I guess she's a hooker, Matilda. But despite the fact that the Black Baron is killed at the end of every description, he always comes back to the next level, only to get killed again.
He doesn't make those decisions, Chris. Those decisions are made at the corporate level.
But he still takes the money every week. How noble.
And doesn't he have a whole staff that writes those episodes anyway?
Well, I wouldn't know about that, but I think, and I hope, Chris, that ultimately people will just remember the laughter.
As for staying power, Madworld is unbelievably short. You'll probably finish the game in, I'd say, less than a day, but it does have some replay value with the hard mode, which really lives up to its name. The enemies are harder to defeat and a lot smarter than they were in the original walkthrough. You can also play a 2-player mode, which unfortunately I wasn't able to play because I don't have another nunchuck and I don't have any friends.
That dirty bastard kicked me with his spurs and tore my scrotum. You know, my nuts unraveled like 2 balls of yarn. You know how fucking long 2 balls of yarn is?
Well, howdy, rookie.
Madworld is definitely an underground hit and proves that the Wii is not just for little kids, but it does have interesting and very, very fun games to play for adults. I give Madworld a solid 4 out of 5.
Man in the place. Now it's about time you catch a hand to the face. Little pimpin', I ain't playing. In a minute, you're gonna be laying on the ground. I ain't messing around my city.